Have you ever found yourself wanting to forgive, but not being able to say the right words? Did it ever happen to you to want to be close to somebody who hurt you, to want to mend fences and restore the relationship, to wait for those precious words, "Please forgive me"? And the moment they came, to discover that you were full of resentment and to actually explode with accuses and emotions that you didn't even know you had inside? Or did it ever happen to you to really need to forgive somebody and not know what to say? It happens quite often, more often than we want to believe. And if we are to be truly honest to ourselves, the truth is that we rarely have a model of good manners for forgiving. It seems that between those moments when we were forced by our parents to say, "Please forgive me," or "I forgive you," and those times when we tried to restore a relationship, maybe a professional one with our bosses or with a colleague that we really needed to work with, and we said the words not quite believing them, there are very few occasions when we could really learn how to forgive graciously, how to have good manners, how to say things right. Of course, there is no such book as a good manners guide for forgiveness. Of course, there's not only one right way to forgive. And yet, there are a few things, a few small skills that we can learn in order to be able to better forgive, or at least to do it with grace, with dignity, with elegance. When we've reached that point where the need to forgive is big enough and is consciously accepted. So, if you are in the position to forgive, the first good manner is to start thinking about it before expecting the other to ask for forgiveness or to offer an apology. Waiting for the other person to offer an apology before starting the process of forgiveness is like waiting for a cold room full of gas with a gas leak to become warm again when somebody else turns on the light. In order to be able to forgive, you need to start cleaning the air before the actual apology. And also, you need to be able to take control of the situation. There is a huge range of emotions to deal with, and that is your responsibility, not the other person. And this is why you need to start thinking about it. You need to practice things in your mind. And that's not the same as ruminating over and over the accusations and the emotional explosions that you are going to offer the other. You are not waiting for the other to repair the things that you cannot repair for yourself. You are preparing yourself for the moment where reconnecting is possible. So that time of preparation, when you start to understand things better and to assume responsibility and so on, that time is essential for graciously forgiving later. And while preparing for that, a key ingredient for the good manners of forgiving is to offer the other the chance to apologize. Sometimes we build so many barriers. We turn around, we turn our back to the people who hurt us. Sometimes we try to jam their frequencies in order to prevent them from saying anything, and then we feel hurt because they didn't apologize. Being able to forgive means that we need to offer the other a clear path to ask for forgiveness. It means we can set aside a time and tell them that we need to speak to them. It means that maybe on the rare occasions that we meet, instead of turning our backs to them, we say hello or we answer to their hello. It means that we do not block them on Skype or Facebook or on our phones. And it also means that we deal with our emotions and try to show them non-verbally that we are open to discussion. And then, of course, there is the time when the other offers the apology. The first good manner of that is to listen. Usually, when we feel really, really hurt about something, we don't really listen to the other person. We keep on thinking about the next thing we're going to say and the next accusation we're going to bring and so on, because we feel so full of resentment, so angry inside, so hurt. But the key to a gracious forgiveness is to be able to listen. Because there's no way to really forgive until you understand. And there's no way to really understand until you listen. Until you really listen to that person. And listening to the other while that person is offering you an apology means to also ask the right questions. And those questions are not, how could you hurt me so badly? Or why did you do it? Those questions are exploratory questions. How did you feel about it? What did you mean? What did you really want to tell me? What made you think that? Or what made you act like that? Was there something I said? Or was that something I did that triggered your actions? And why do you think that was important to you? What exactly is still good in our relationship? And what makes it worthwhile to try to repair it? The right questions build bridges. The right questions open gates and help us to better understand. And there is, of course, the right time to express our emotions, to say how hurt we've been feeling. And in order to do that graciously, the good manners of forgiveness need to include reasonable explanations, the right words, and an assertive attitude. That means that in order to graciously forgive, we need to avoid the trap of competitive victimhood. Because when we start to understand that the other has been just as hurt, maybe, not by us, but maybe by a situation, by other people, we begin a competitive victimhood. We begin saying how much hurt we've been gathering, and that somehow we've been more hurt than the other, and our pain has been greater, and with greater value, and so on. And that kind of competitiveness is detrimental for the relationship, for forgiveness, and also for our inner health. Being hurt, suffering, is a thing to connect us as human beings. It's not something to be competitive over, and yet we do it so often. So often we start saying how much pain we've gathered and how much hurt we've been keeping inside, and we keep pouring and pouring, hoping somehow that our pain will override the others. But that won't help. And not only it will not help, but it will lead the conversation into conflict again. So graciously forgiving means to express your own pain, not in opposition to the other, but as a way to connect. I've been hurt. That thing you said, that thing you did, hurt me terribly. And you've been hurt too, at the same time. Also, choosing the right words to say everything we need to express is an act of kindness, but it's also an act of power. Because naming an emotion is a way to define it and is a way of connecting to the other person. The minute we start accusing the other, the minute we start focusing solely on our pain, the minute we start using words that are meant to inflict harm, even while we're trying to forgive, we sabotage our own endeavor to mend a relationship. That's why instead of saying, you hurt me deliberately, you did that, every time we talk you're doing the same thing, you're always accusing me, you're always leaving me behind, you're always telling me things that hurt, we may try to choose words that talk about our emotions in connection to the other. Whenever you say that, I'm feeling hurt. Whenever you leave before the conversation is over, I feel abandoned and I'm afraid that you're not going to come back. Choosing the right words is a matter of exercise. It's a matter of mindfulness, but it's also a matter of skill. It comes with practice, and we can learn it. And this is why we need to start practicing the manners of forgiving by little acts, baby steps on different occasions. Every day we live our lives on both sides of forgiveness, on the forgiving and on the apology side. We need to forgive and to be forgiven. We need to learn how to do both. And this is why, while practicing and learning the good manners of forgiveness, we need to remember that next time will probably be on the other side. Choosing the right words shows that we are aware of that and that we are connecting to the other person. And last but not least, forgiving graciously means that we need to assume responsibility for our side, for the things we did and said and hurt the other person. It doesn't matter who started it. It doesn't matter who triggered the process. What we said hurtfully is our responsibility. And if it's true that sometimes we are innocent, helpless victims in a situation we could not prevent, it's also true that most of the times in our lives we hold responsibility for a lot of what happened. And assuming that responsibility doesn't mean that we excuse or we forget whatever happened. It means that we sort things out. It means that we connect to the other by assuming both responsibility for the things we did and by understanding better what behavior, what words, what attitudes trigger in each other the wrong or the hurtful behaviors. Sometimes that process is a long one. Sometimes being able to graciously forgive means that we need to take time to forgive ourselves for the situation we've put ourselves in, for the things that we forgot to do, for allowing ourselves to become so hurt. And sometimes it just means that we need to find a way to ask for the time and for the space we need to forgive. It's honest, it's open, and it's good manners to say, I need to forgive you, I want to do it, but I also need the time to do that. It's honest to say, I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it, rather than to just pointlessly give the words, I forgive you. Because graciously forgiving does not only mean to say all the right words, it also means that these words are surrounded with the right attitude. There's nothing more painful, there's nothing generating more resentment than to have your apology met with a condescending attitude. Saying I forgive you is not always the best way to go. It's not always the best manner of forgiving. Saying I am ready to forgive you, I want to forgive you, I want to repair this relationship, let's work together on it, may be a better way. Or admitting that you're not still able to do it is also an honest and better way. I need time. I want to forgive you, but I'm not there yet. I'm not able yet. I need to understand some things. I need to change others. All these are a part of an open, ongoing conversation. And that is what the good manners of forgiving are about.